Welcome to another C2 Proficiency ESL-lounge reading lesson video. Today we will be reading 4 critical reviews of a difficult novel, to analyze how literary critics can form vastly different interpretations of the same work. Let's begin with some vocabulary. Hermetic. Insulated or protected from outside influences. Esoteric or difficult to understand. Mimesis. Imitation or representation of the real world in art and literature. Repudiates. Refuses to accept or be associated with. Rejects the validity of. Pyrotechnics. A brilliant performance or display, especially of a specified skill. Solipsistic. Relating to the view that the self is all that can be known to exist, excessively self-absorbed. Galvanizing. Shocking or exciting someone into taking action. Harrowing. Acutely distressing or disturbing. Virtuosic. Demonstrating great technical skill in an artistic pursuit. Manifest. Clear or obvious to the eye or mind. Didactic. Intended to teach, particularly in having moral instruction as an ulterior motive. Cadence. The rhythm or modulation of a sound or piece of text. Immanent. Existing or operating within, inherent. Great. Now you know the key words, let's read the texts. You are going to read 4 critical reviews of the same prize-winning novel. Read them carefully to understand each critic's interpretation. Afterwards, you will answer 10 questions to check your interpretation of each review. Okay, let's start with text A. Marcus Thackeray. Few novels in recent memory have been as willfully challenging as The Salt Index. Its prose is a dense, hermetic thicket of fragmented sentences and jarring shifts in perspective, a style that many readers will find utterly impenetrable. However, to dismiss this as a flaw is to miss the point entirely. The novel's thematic core is an exploration of our fractured, information-saturated society, and the disorienting prose is a brilliant act of artistic mimesis. The author consciously repudiates the comfort of a linear narrative, understanding that such a structure would be a dishonest representation of our dislocated reality. The difficulty the reader experiences is a deliberate and necessary choice, mirroring the chaotic nature of the very political and social systems the book interrogates. It forces the reader into a state of active intellectual engagement, rejecting the passive consumption that defines so much of modern culture. This is not a book that gives up its secrets easily, because the truths it seeks to expose are themselves complex and deeply hidden. The discomfort it engenders is therefore not a sign of failure, but a mark of its profound success. It demands that we work, that we grapple, and that we emerge from the experience not merely entertained, but fundamentally altered. End of text A. Let's continue. Dr. Sophia Gibson. Few would dispute the thematic ambition of The Salt Index, which attempts to diagnose the spiritual sickness at the heart of our contemporary world. Its political message is urgent and vital. It is a tragedy, therefore, that this message is almost completely suffocated by a self-indulgent and willfully obscure prose style. This is a catastrophic failure of execution. It is a fundamental error to believe that profound ideas require a deliberately convoluted expression. Often the opposite is true. An author has a duty not just to express, but to communicate, and in this primary responsibility, the novel fails. The linguistic pyrotechnics on display feel less like a necessary artistic strategy, and more like an exercise in intellectual vanity. This kind of solipsistic experimentation ultimately serves no one but the author herself. What could have been a galvanizing call to action is thus relegated to the status of a mere literary curiosity. As a result, a potentially transformative political novel is reduced to a mere academic curiosity, destined to be praised by a handful of critics but left unread by the wider public it purports to address. End of text B. Let's continue. Dr. David Charles. To read The Salt Index as primarily a political statement, whether a successful one or not, is to fundamentally misinterpret its genius. The critics focusing on its social commentary are looking through the wrong end of the telescope. This novel is not a journey into the state of society, but a harrowing, virtuosic journey into a single, disintegrating consciousness. The fragmented style and unreliable narration are not a metaphor for societal collapse. They are a direct and brilliant rendering of a mind in the grip of profound psychological trauma. Every stylistic tick, every broken phrase, serves to map the contours of a specific and harrowing internal landscape. What we are reading is a meticulous representation of cognitive dissonance, a character's fractured psyche made manifest on the page. The political events that swirl in the background are not the subject of the book, they are merely the external pressures that precipitate the character's internal collapse. They are the weather in the story, not the story itself. The novel's staggering achievement is its interiority. It is a masterpiece of psychological realism, not a political manifesto. End of text C. Let's continue. Isabel Denton. The endless debates surrounding the novel's meaning, be it political, psychological or otherwise, are a tedious and misguided distraction from its true achievement. The Salt Index is a novel that should be experienced, not deciphered. Its true achievement is sonic and rhythmic, its value residing in the cadence and texture of the language itself. The impulse to impose a coherent meaning upon the text is a violation of its artistic integrity, an attempt to domesticate something intentionally wild. One should not ask what it means, but how it feels to read it. The book operates much like a piece of abstract music, or a non-representational painting. Its power is visceral and emotional, not intellectual or didactic. The author's meticulous attention to assonance and the percussive quality of her fragmented sentences creates a unique sensory landscape. To subject this to a laborious thematic analysis is to treat it like a puzzle to be solved, thereby destroying its essential mysterious beauty. Its greatness is not located in some extractable message, but is immanent within the prose itself. Okay, time for a few questions to check your understanding. Question 1. Which critic argues that the novel's artistic merit is independent of any message it might convey? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is D, Isabel Denton. The text makes this argument by stating that the novel's greatness is not located in some extractable message, but is immanent within the prose itself, meaning its merit is inherent in the language, not separate from it. Question 2. Which critic suggests that the novel's stylistic choices prevent it from achieving its own apparent aims? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B, Dr. Sophia Gibson. The text argues that the novel has an urgent and vital political message, but that this aim is almost completely suffocated by a self-indulgent and willfully obscure prose style. Question 3. Which critic justifies the novel's challenging form by arguing it is inseparable from its subject matter? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is A, Marcus Thackeray. This is inferred from his statement that the novel's disorienting prose is a brilliant artistic mimesis of its theme, our fractured society. Question 4. Which critic asserts that other commentators have fundamentally misunderstood the novel's primary focus? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is C, Dr. David Charles. The text directly challenges other views by stating that reading the novel as a political statement is to fundamentally misinterpret its genius. Question 5. Which critic believes the book's value is diminished by its failure to connect with a wider audience? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B, Dr. Sophia Gibson. The text concludes that the novel is destined to be praised by a handful of critics, but left unread by the wider public it purports to address, presenting this as a negative outcome. Question 6. Which critic advocates for an intuitive, non-analytical engagement with the text? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is D, Isabel Denton. The answer is based on her argument that the novel should be experienced, not deciphered, and her direct criticism of subjecting the text to laborious thematic analysis. Question 7. Which critic contends that the novel's structure is a representation of an internal personal state? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is C. Dr. David Charles. The text argues that the fragmented style is a direct and brilliant rendering of a mind in the grip of profound psychological trauma, which is an internal, personal state. Question 8. Which critic implies that the author's approach could be considered self-serving? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B. Dr. Sophia Gibson. The text describes the author's style as an exercise in intellectual vanity and a solipsistic experimentation that serves no one but the author herself, all of which imply a self-serving approach. Question 9. Which critic suggests the book forces the reader into a more active and less comfortable role? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is A. Marcus Thackeray. The text says the novel forces the reader into a state of active intellectual engagement, rejecting the passive consumption that defines so much of modern culture. Question 10. Which critic claims the work's main achievement lies in its innovative representation of a character's mind? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is C. Dr. David Charles. The text concludes that the novel's staggering achievement is its interiority, calling it a masterpiece of psychological realism. Let's quickly summarize the lesson. On this screen you can review the main points of the text and the key vocabulary. Finally, here are a few discussion questions. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching this ESL Lounge video. Don't forget to subscribe for more lessons, and we'll see you in the next one.